Hello and welcome back to my channel. We are getting closer to the end of June and I only have a couple of pages left in my current notebook, so in this video I'm going to be creating a brand new bullet journal setup in this beautiful white Archer&Olive notebook. We have a lot of creating to do, so let's just get right into it. I started this setup with writing my name and quickly decorated the page with the colors that I'm going to be using throughout this setup. In my yearly pages, I usually try to keep things more simple and don't have a theme for these first pages. I've also preferred doing a black and white color palette or maybe added some light nude colors or something. But this time I just felt that I needed colors, so that is what I did. I literally searched color palette from Pinterest and picked the one that I liked the most. The colors that I chose are these bluish green, orange, beige and a light peach color. You can find all the supplies linked in the description if you want to know the exact Tombow colors. Next I'm doing a key page, which for me is pretty useless, but it's still something that I like to include in my setups anyways. Also, starting a setup in a new, clean, white notebook is always kinda nerve-wracking, for me at least, so I like to have a couple of these pointless pages to get it kinda going, if you know what I mean. I ripped out a page of this little notebook that I have and decorated it with some solid color washi tapes that matched my color palette. Next to this page I decided to do a little quote page, or I don't know if this is more like a word of the year page, because it only says focus. I chose this word focus to be something that I'd like to focus on, and just try to do things more intentionally and meaningfully and really like live in the moment. We are moving on to my future log, which is a spread that I use pretty much when I plan for the year. I only did a log for the months from July to December because I can only fit 6 months in one notebook. If you're new to bullet journaling, future log is this like one big yearly calendar where you write down tasks, events and notes for the upcoming months, and when you finally reach that month you can migrate those to your monthly pages. The layout that I like to use in my future log is pretty simple. I just do a column for each month with the calendars, and then under the calendar I write all the tasks and events. For the mini calendars, I decided to do these boxes that are 6 or 7 dot grid spaces tall, depending on the month, and 8 dot grid spaces wide, because next to the actual calendars, I also added the week numbers. I drew another outline for the boxes without a ruler to get a more hand-drawn look, and then used all the colors from my color palette. On both sides of the header I did the same confetti decoration as on the quote page. And this first time I used some washi tapes to keep the edges really clean, but later in this setup I felt like it didn't make much of a difference if I used them or not, so I just ditched the washi tapes after this spread. Next we have my goals page. I'm using again the same goal setting method as last time, but since we're already halfway through the year, I only picked 4 main goals that I like to focus on in the next 6 months. For those 4 bigger goals, I drew a box, and under each box I have space for 6 smaller goals that will help me achieve the bigger one. At least for me, this way it's easier to see which are the actual steps that you have to take to achieve your goals. So that you just don't have a goal, for example, to get your dream job, but rather you have broke your goals down into smaller, more trackable pieces like update resume or attend a course and things like that. Next to the goals page we have my timeline, which I included in my setup for the first time this year. This timeline page is for all the moments that I want to remember from that time period, and since it's only a one-page tracker, I can only fit some of the bigger ones here. On my monthly setups, I also have a spread for some of the smaller memories, and if you want to include more memories to this timeline, you could make this a 2-page tracker or even have a page for each month. Moving on to my When Did I Last spread. And this is again one of those spreads that I use all the time. In this tracker I track all the tasks that I want to get done weekly, bi-weekly, monthly or so on. I wrote all the week numbers from the 26th to the 52nd horizontally and drew this box under them. To the left side of the box I'll write all the tasks, and every time I complete a task from that list I'll draw a small dot under that week. Under this When Did I Last tracker, I had some space to do a bills tracker and also a savings tracker. These two are actually the only financial trackers that I decided to do. In my previous journals I've included a lot more of these budgeting spreads, but lately I've been tracking my finances digitally, so I don't really need to have all those pages in my journal anymore. If you want to have more budgeting spreads in your setup, I'll link my older video here where I explain all the spreads that I used to have and how they work. Next we have my Milestones tracker from my YouTube channel and Instagram. By the way, if you're not following me on Instagram yet, you can find me at Papery Thoughts. On my account I share my weekly spreads and other pages that I don't have in these videos, and many of you are always curious to see how my spreads look all filled in, so that is also something that I've tried to share with you on my Instagram account. The last page that I'm doing is a collection of all the themes from 2021. This is something that I've had in my journal a couple of times now, and although there isn't any great purpose for this, I think it's still a fun page to have. You can see all the lovely colors that you use throughout the year and maybe even get some inspiration for the future. I created 12 boxes, one for each month, and inside the boxes I made these mini drawings of that month's theme. we are getting closer to the end of this setup and I'm just finishing my June watermelons here. Now let's see the final flip through of my setup for the second half of 2021. If you enjoyed my video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye!